Markus Anderson is very unique in the Meghan Markle Disposable Friends series because Markus is indispensable.
Meghan Markle has been criticised for laughing when a model tripped during the Balenciaga fashion parade.
But I really don't think she would be in the position she's in without Markus Anderson.
Everyone's talking about Meghan and Harry, right? The drama, the interviews, the whole royal exit. But here's what nobody's paying attention to. There's a guy who was there before the palace, before the prince, before any of it. His name's Markus Anderson, and chances are you've never heard of him, but you should have. See, while everyone was watching Meghan climb her way into royalty, Markus was the one handing her the ladder. He wasn't Hollywood. He wasn't royalty. He was a Soho House employee who somehow became more powerful than people with actual titles. And get this, he got closer to Meghan than almost anyone in her life, slipped right past palace gates, and then just vanished when things got messy. So who is Markus Anderson? And what does he know that made the palace absolutely panic? Let's talk about the friendship that might have been the most strategic move Meghan ever made. Now look, if you're into stories that everyone else is missing, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications, because what we're about to uncover is wild secret weekends, palace panic, and a friendship that knew way too much. This one gets messy, so smash that like button and let's dive in. So let's start with Markus Anderson, because this guy's story is actually insane when you break it down. He didn't come from money, wasn't born into some fancy family with connections already lined up. Markus started out as a waiter at Soho House, London. Yeah, you heard that right. Pouring drinks, serving tables, taking orders, the whole thing. Now, most people in that position, they stay in that position. It's a job, it pays the bills, maybe you meet some interesting people along the way. But Markus, he saw something completely different. He saw opportunity everywhere. Here's where it gets interesting. Markus wasn't just good at his job, he was exceptional at reading people, like scary good. He could walk into a room and instantly figure out who had real influence, who wanted it, and who could help him get where he needed to go.
Catch COVID or the plague, she's like, hi, how are you? Kisses, kisses, barely a little kiss. If you remember,
He knew exactly how to make the right person feel special, feel seen, feel like they needed him around. And that talent, worth more than any degree or family connection when you're climbing the social ladder. The guy had this gift for making powerful people comfortable. He wasn't intimidated by celebrities or billionaires. He didn't get starstruck. He just knew how to be exactly what they needed in that moment, whether it was a good conversation, a discreet ear, or just someone who got it without them having to explain. People noticed. Fast forward a few years, and this guy went from serving cocktails to becoming Soho House's global membership director. Let that sink in for a second. He literally worked his way from the absolute bottom to deciding who gets into the most exclusive clubs on the planet. Not luck, not even just hard work. Strategic genius, plain and simple. Now, if you don't know what Soho House is, let me paint you a picture. It's basically the playground for rich, famous, and powerful people who want to network without paparazzi breathing down their necks. Think private clubs where actors, producers, directors, musicians, and executives can actually relax and do business without ending up on TMZ'd an hour later. We're talking serious exclusivity here. You can't just buy your way in.
The Duchess of Sussex claiming she felt objectified.
Well, you can. But someone like Markus still has to decide you're worth it. And here's what made Markus so valuable. He became the guy who controlled access to these spaces. He decided who was cool enough, connected enough, interesting enough to be part of this world real power. The kind that makes people want to be your friend, whether they actually like you or not. His job as global membership director was wild, too. Whenever Soho House opened in a new city and they were expanding like crazy, Markus would fly in and handpick the founding members. He'd research the local scene, figure out who the movers and shakers were, and personally invite them to the opening night party. Not everyone, just the best and the brightest, the ones who'd make the club feel exclusive and worth joining. And here's the thing about those opening night parties. They were everything. If you got invited, you were somebody in that city. If you didn't, well, good luck trying to join later, because everyone important was already inside and you were already behind. By the time Meghan Markle showed up on his radar, Markus had already cracked the code. He knew everyone important in multiple cities across the globe, and more importantly, they all knew him. He'd transformed himself from an employee into someone the elite actually needed. You wanted to expand your network. You went through Markus. You wanted to be seen at the right events. Markus was your guy. You wanted access to people you couldn't normally reach.
Meghan Markle has declared herself one of the most bullied people in the world.
Markus held those keys. Power you can't buy. Influence built brick by brick, handshake by handshake, introduction by introduction. And Meghan, she spotted all of that from a mile away. So now we need to talk about how Meghan Markle enters this picture, because this is where things get really calculated. Meghan wasn't some wide-eyed newcomer stumbling into Hollywood hoping for her big break. By the time she met Markus, she'd already been grinding for years. She had Suits, sure, but let's be real, Suits wasn't making her a household name. It was a cable show that most people hadn't even heard of. She was working, she was paying bills, but she wasn't where she wanted to be. Not even close. And here's the thing about Meghan. She's always been good at reading a room. She knew that in Hollywood, talent only gets you so far. Connections get you everywhere. And when she looked around and saw Markus Anderson, something clicked. Markus had what she needed: access, credibility, the ability to walk into any room and be welcomed. While other actresses were begging their agents for auditions, Meghan was taking a completely different approach. She wasn't just networking. She was hunting. She spotted opportunity the way a hawk spots prey. And Markus? He was the biggest opportunity she'd seen in years. Now look, this wasn't romance. Let's just clear that up right now.
He worked his way up to global membership director, and he was a global membership director when he first met Meghan.
This was strategy dressed up in smiles and shared champagne. Meghan saw what Markus could do for her career, and she latched on. Not in an obvious way. She was way too smart for that. But she made sure she was around, made sure she was useful, made sure Markus saw her as someone worth investing in. And it worked. Before long, Meghan was getting invited on business trips funded by Soho House. Think about that for a second. Here's this actress from a cable show nobody's watching, and suddenly she's jetting off to exclusive events, rubbing elbows with producers, executives, and people who could actually move the needle on her career. That doesn't just happen. Someone has to open those doors. Markus opened them, and Meghan made absolutely sure she never left the room. She'd show up to these Soho House events looking perfect, acting charming, working every conversation like it was an audition. Because in a way, it was every person she met through Markus was another connection, another opportunity, another stepping stone to something bigger. And Markus, he loved it. Because here's what people don't understand about guys like Markus. They don't just collect powerful friends, they collect rising stars. Having Meghan around made him look good too. He was the guy who spotted her before everyone else did, the guy who gave her access when she was still nobody special. There's value in that. So they became this power duo, both using each other in the best possible way. Markus gave Meghan what Hollywood hadn't: instant credibility. Suddenly, she wasn't just that girl from Suits. She was the woman everyone wanted to invite. The actress who somehow knew all the right people. showed up at all the right events, wore all the right clothes. She went from grinding for small roles to being treated like she already made it. And she didn't even have to do anything except stay close to Markus and let him work his magic. He introduced her to designers who'd dress her for free, directors who'd remember her name, philanthropists who'd invite her to charity events that looked great on a resume, the kind of crowd that could transform an actress into someone people actually cared about.
Buckingham Palace knows the answer to that question. The palace investigated claims that Meghan bullied royal staff during her
And Meghan, she soaked it all up like oxygen. To her, Markus wasn't just a friend. He was a career move in human form. Every introduction he made, every door he opened, every party he brought her to, she cataloged all of it, used all of it, built her entire social strategy around it. They were both climbing social ladders at a pace most people couldn't even track. Markus was expanding his empire, making himself more essential to more people in more cities. Meghan was transforming her image, going from working actress to someone who moved in circles way above her pay grade. It was brilliant, honestly. Ruthless, sure, but brilliant. And neither of them was done climbing yet. All right, so we've established that Markus was a master at opening doors and Meghan was excellent at walking through them. But this is where the story gets really interesting, because Markus's job wasn't just about running clubs. It was about curating who got to be part of them. As Soho House's global membership director, Markus would fly into whatever city they were launching in and handpick the founding members. Not just anyone with money, the absolute best and brightest. The people who'd make everyone else desperate to join. And those opening night parties, they were everything. The most exclusive invite you could get. If Markus put your name on that list, you'd officially arrived. When Soho House Toronto opened, guess who showed up? Keira Knightley, Jude Law, Bruce Willis, Amy Adams, Bradley Cooper, Dustin Hoffman, Naomi Watts, Zac Efron, Jennifer Lawrence, actual A-list Hollywood royalty, flying into Toronto for one night.
To be a founding member, you really had to be somebody in the social scene of the...
These weren't people who lived in Toronto. They were members from other Soho houses, brought in to make the launch feel massive. And it worked. From the actual Toronto crowd, the names were pretty specific. Jessica and Ben Mulroney got invited. There was also Corey Vitiello, a local restaurateur who was dating Meghan Markle at the time. But here's the question. Did the cast of Suits get invited? Because Suits was filming in Toronto, and if that show was really as big as people claimed, you'd think the cast would have been there, right? Makes you wonder how Meghan actually ended up in Markus's orbit. Was it because of Suits? Or was it because she'd already figured out that Markus was the key to everything she wanted? Either way, once she was in, Markus kept opening bigger doors. Which brings us to the weekend that changed everything. Markus had this thing he'd do for people he really liked. He'd arrange cozy little getaways to Soho Farmhouse. Picture the most exclusive countryside retreat you can imagine English countryside. Gorgeous, private, where the elite go to disappear without actually disappearing. And according to reports, Markus arranged for Meghan to spend a weekend there. Oh, and Prince Harry just happened to be there that same weekend. Coincidence? Please. Meghan didn't believe in luck, she believed in logistics, being in the right place at the right time with the right people. And somehow, Markus made sure she was in exactly the right place to bump into an actual prince. Think about the odds. A cable TV actress from America randomly ends up at an exclusive English countryside retreat the same weekend as Prince Harry, and they just happened to meet. Or someone who knew both of them thought they might get along and made sure they were both in the same place. Someone who'd built an entire career on strategic introductions. Someone like Markus Anderson. When you look at Markus's entire history, the way he'd built his career on knowing exactly who to introduce to whom, the way he'd helped Meghan climb for years,
Meghan in the front row, caught on video at Balenciaga. The reports are a model tripped and she laughed.
The way he had access to circles most people couldn't reach. It's hard to believe it was all just luck. Meghan didn't get where she was by waiting for lucky breaks. She got there by making sure she was exactly where opportunity could find her. And Markus, he'd been helping her do that for years. This weekend was just the biggest opportunity of all. So Meghan and Harry start dating, and suddenly everything changes. You'd think when someone goes from cable actress to dating a prince, they'd clean house, right? Start fresh new life, new circle, new everything. And for the most part, that's exactly what happened. All those Hollywood friends Meghan had been collecting, they quietly disappeared. The stylists, the influencers, the hangers-on from Soho House parties, gone, radio, silence. But Markus Anderson, he wasn't going anywhere. While everyone else backed away, Markus somehow did the impossible. He slipped right past those palace gates without a title, without a pedigree, without a single drop of royal blood, and nobody could figure out how he managed it. Think about how insane that is. The British royal family has protocols for everything. Who sits where at dinner? Who bows to whom? Who gets access and who absolutely does not? These people have been doing this for centuries. And yet there was Markus showing up everywhere. Pre-wedding parties where only close family and lifelong friends were supposed to be. Markus was there, private holidays meant to be intimate. Markus somehow made the guest list. Secret dinners where Harry and Meghan wanted privacy. Markus was never far behind. Palace staff started noticing pretty quickly. They'd see him walking through hallways like he belonged there, sitting at events that were supposed to be family only, and the weird part was, nobody seemed to know what his actual role was. He wasn't staff, didn't work for the palace, didn't have any official position. He wasn't family. He wasn't even a royal aide or advisor. He was just there.
Meghan, one look here, Meghan. Yes! Thank you, Meghan.
Always. Some people started calling him Meghan's shadow, which honestly wasn't far off. Wherever she went, Markus was somewhere nearby, and the guy acted like he owned the place. Other people bowed when they were supposed to bow. Markus didn't. Other people took orders from senior royals. Markus didn't. Other people respected the hierarchy. Markus? He didn't seem to care about any of that. His loyalty was to Meghan, period. Not to the crown, not to the institution, not to palace protocol, just Meghan. And that created real tension. The staff didn't know how to handle him. Do you tell him to leave? But he's Meghan's guest. Do you restrict his access? But then Meghan gets upset? Do you just ignore it? Well, that wasn't working because Markus wasn't going anywhere. The thing that really bothered palace insiders was that Markus had seen too much. He'd been there for the arguments, the stress, the moments when Meghan was struggling to adjust and needed someone who understood her old world. He'd been in rooms where sensitive conversations happened. He'd witnessed private family dynamics that outsiders were never supposed to see. And unlike everyone else in those rooms, Markus didn't have any obligation to keep quiet. He didn't work for the palace. He didn't owe the royal family anything. He answered only to Meghan, which meant if things ever went sideways,
Anybody who is anybody would be in Markus Anderson's little black book. And he's never betrayed a confidence. He's never made...
There was nothing stopping him from talking. That's what made him dangerous. Not because he was malicious, but because he had information, he had access, and he had absolutely no reason to protect the institution if it came down to choosing sides. Palace insiders started getting nervous, very nervous, because they dealt with outsiders trying to get close to the royals before. But Markus wasn't trying to get close, he was already in, and nobody knew how to get him back out. So, for a while, Markus just existed in this weird space. Everyone knew he was there, but nobody was talking about it publicly. like this open secret everyone whispered about but never said out loud. And then someone started talking. It began small. Just one anonymous source close to Markus dropping a cryptic remark about their unbreakable bond. Nothing too specific, just enough to make people curious. But in royal gossip, a whisper is all it takes to start a wildfire. Within hours, the tabloids went absolutely feral. Suddenly, every outlet was running the same angle. Markus Anderson had finally said something, or someone close to him had. Honestly, it didn't even matter because the story was out there. Palace PR teams went into full panic mode. Phones ringing off the hook, emergency meetings, everyone trying to figure out how to stop it. Meanwhile, people started digging. Every old photo of Markus and Meghan suddenly got dragged back out and analyzed. Pictures from Soho House parties years ago, vacation photos, charity events, all of it dissected frame by frame.
But it's also because she doesn't have any friends and she doesn't have anyone else to go with. So like, why not walk in with people that you've paid to be there with you?
Great.
Were they standing too close? What were they whispering about? Every image became proof of something. Royal insiders were panicking, Meghan's team was scrambling, and Markus, he went completely silent. No statements, no denials, nothing. The guy who'd never been shy about being photographed suddenly became a ghost. He just disappeared from view, and that made everything worse, because when someone goes quiet like that, especially someone who knows as much as Markus knew, people's imaginations go wild. What did Markus actually know? What had he seen over all those years? What conversations had he been part of that nobody else heard? The questions kept piling up, and Markus wasn't answering any of them. According to sources, Meghan was furious. This was the guy who'd helped build her entire image, the one who'd given her access to everything she wanted, and now he was becoming her biggest problem because refusing to speak was letting everyone else write whatever story they wanted. Palace staff were in full crisis mode for a different reason. Markus had been everywhere. The arguments between Harry and Meghan, the private dinners where family drama played out, the moments when Meghan said things she probably shouldn't have. He knew what Meghan thought about her new in-laws, what she said when the cameras stopped rolling. And unlike everyone else in those rooms, Markus wasn't bound by any rules. He didn't owe the institution anything, which meant if he ever decided to talk, really talk, there was nothing anyone could do to stop him. That's what terrified the palace. Not what Markus was saying, but what he could say. He'd been embedded in Meghan's life for years, present for moments that were never meant to be public. The tabloids could smell blood. Every day brought new speculation about what Markus might reveal. And through it all, Markus stayed quiet. Just let the storm rage around him while he vanished from public view. Markus Anderson not saying a word was louder than anything he could have actually said. So after years of total radio silence, Markus Anderson finally resurfaced. Not with a tell-all book or some exclusive interview. He showed up at a private event, said a few carefully chosen words, and somehow the whole thing mysteriously leaked online. Convenient, right? The event was supposed to be low-key, small crowd, intimate setting. And Markus took that opportunity to address the elephant in the room without really addressing it at all. His tone was calm, measured, way too calm. He wasn't throwing Meghan under the bus or spilling secrets. But he wasn't exactly protecting her either. What he said was completely vague and perfectly calculated. Something along the lines of, the truth people believe isn't always the truth that happened. Let that sink in. He's basically saying everyone's got it wrong, but he's not telling you what's right. Translation, he knows things, and he's reminding everyone without saying anything concrete. Then he described Meghan as deeply misunderstood and fiercely determined. On the surface, that sounds supportive, doesn't it? But anyone who speaks PR knows what that means. Deeply misunderstood is code for difficult. Fiercely determined is code for she doesn't care who gets in the way. It wasn't a full betrayal, but it definitely wasn't loyalty either. It was this perfect in-between that left everyone more suspicious. He gave just enough to keep people talking without being held accountable for anything. Brilliant, honestly, and infuriating. Royal insiders were absolutely fuming. They saw it for what it was, strategic damage control. Markus protecting himself while showing he could say more if he wanted to. Meghan's critics ate it up. Finally, someone close to her was speaking, even in riddles. They dissected every word, looking for hidden meanings, and they found plenty. But the person who was reportedly the most upset, Meghan herself, because Markus wasn't denying anything, wasn't shutting down rumors, wasn't defending her. He just added smoke to a fire that was already burning. And that's what made it so damaging. It wasn't what Markus said, it was everything he left unsaid. All those years of friendship, and when he finally spoke up, it was vague enough to protect himself, but pointed enough to make people wonder. Markus gave them nothing they could use as facts, but everything they needed to keep speculating. He stirred the pot without pouring anything out. For years, people had called Markus discreet. After this, they started calling him dangerous, not because of what he revealed, but because of what he proved he could reveal if he ever wanted to. He showed everyone that he had the power to speak, the platform to be heard, and the information to make it matter. And he chose to say basically nothing while somehow saying everything. After Markus's half-confession, the dynamic between him and Meghan shifted completely. The easy friendship, the constant appearances together, the inseparable duo climbing social ladders, all of that stopped. The storm eventually died down. Tabloids moved on, headlines stopped screaming, attention drifted elsewhere. But the damage? That stayed. That kind of damage doesn't disappear. Meghan's inner circle, already small after joining the royal family, shrank to basically nothing. When someone as close as Markus could cause that much chaos with a few vague statements, who could she trust anymore? Trust became a luxury she couldn't afford. Every conversation monitored, every friendship questioned. Is this person loyal or waiting to speak up? That's a paranoid way to live, but after Markus, it probably felt necessary. And Markus? He vanished. Not dramatically, just quietly slipped back into the shadows. No more flashy events, no more exclusive parties, no more photos with celebrities gone. The guy who'd spent years making himself visible suddenly became invisible, and that felt intentional, like he knew exactly when to step back before things got messier. Some people thought it was classy, others thought it was calculated. Either way, Markus removed himself before anyone could push him for answers. Meanwhile, the labels stuck to Meghan like glue. Ambitious, calculating, manipulative. Every negative word got attached to her name and stayed there. The perception had been set. Markus became this ghost in her story. The guy who'd been there for everything but disappeared when things fell apart. Who could have destroyed her reputation with one interview, one book, one conversation, but he never did. Was that loyalty? Was he shielding her? Or was it self-preservation? Did he stay quiet because speaking up would have hurt him equally? Probably both. Markus knew talking too much could blow up his world. His reputation was built on discretion, on being the guy powerful people could trust. Going public might have made headlines, but it would have destroyed the one thing that made him valuable: his ability to keep secrets. So maybe his silence wasn't about defending Meghan.
Sort of imply that just because she was in Suits, that was how she met Markus Anderson in Canada.
Maybe it was about defending himself. Either way, both paid a price for their drive. They'd climbed so high, reached circles most people can't imagine, but when you climb that high, the air gets thin. The fewer people can breathe up there with you. Meghan wanted power and status. She got it, but lost almost everyone. Markus wanted access and influence. He got it, but had to disappear to keep it. They'd both achieved what they set out to do, but the cost was steep. Now they're both living with the consequences of choices made years ago when they were two driven people who saw opportunity in each other. They built something together, this image, this network, this carefully crafted success. And when it crashed, they were both left standing in the wreckage, pretending not to look back, because looking back would mean admitting what they'd sacrificed. And neither seems ready to do that. So here's what stands out about Meghan and Markus. Their story doesn't read like a friendship. It reads more like a business arrangement that eventually expired. Two people who saw exactly what they could get from each other and went for it. Markus was there from the beginning. Way before the tiaras, before the palace drama, before any of the royal chaos. He watched her transform from a working actress on a cable show into a duchess married to a prince. He opened doors and made introductions that changed her entire trajectory. And then everything fell apart. Markus never wrote that tell-all book everyone expected. Didn't do the exclusive interview or cash in on what he knew, even though he could have made serious money. But he didn't need to. Refusing to speak ended up saying more than any interview could.
Now, Markus Anderson is this interesting character, right? He's considered the second most important man in Meghan Markle's life.
By disappearing when things got messy, by refusing to confirm or deny anything, he made himself more powerful than if he'd actually talked. Because now everyone knows he has information about Meghan's life, her choices, her real personality, and the fact that he's not sharing it. That makes people even more curious. Meghan wanted power and status. She achieved it. But look at the cost. Friendships gone, reputation damaged, living in a world where she can't trust anyone because her closest ally became her biggest threat. Markus wanted access and influence. He achieved that too, but he had to vanish to keep it, had to become invisible to protect everything he'd built. They both reached what they were chasing and both paid for it in ways they didn't see coming. What's wild is they built everything together, this image, this network, this version of success. They helped each other climb higher than either could have gone alone, and when it crashed, they were both left in the wreckage, pretending not to see each other. Because admitting what actually happened would mean admitting what they sacrificed. The friendships they used, the trust they broke, the calculated decisions made when nobody was watching. So what actually happened between them? Not the tabloid version or the PR spin. What was their friendship really like behind closed doors? We'll likely never know. Markus isn't talking, Meghan isn't talking, and everyone else is smart enough to keep it private. But here's what's clear. In Meghan's world, every friendship comes with an expiration date. Every ally eventually becomes a complication. Every person who helps you climb can become the person who makes you fall. Markus Anderson walked away without drama or headlines, just disappeared back into the life he'd built. But that shadow he cast over Meghan's story, still there, still following her, still making people wonder what he saw, what he knows, what he could say. Maybe that was the point all along. Maybe the smartest move Markus ever made was knowing when to stop talking and let his absence do the work. If you made it this far, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, go ahead and hit that like button and subscribe for more deep dives like this one. Drop your thoughts in the comments. I love reading what you think. And turn on notifications so you don't miss the next one. I'll see you soon.